Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Amber Unfiltered. Tonight I'm going to review the next 30 minutes of the first Twilight movie. But before I do that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if you want to cash out me at AmberUnfilteredShow, that'd be greatly appreciated. So let's pick up from the last video, which was basically Edward bringing Bella home for the first time to meet his family. So Edward basically, let me back up too. So basically in this scene, Bella is already brought into the house. She comes across the majority of the Cullen clan in the kitchen, and Rosalie is holding the, the glass bowl of salad. And she basically breaks it because Bella says, hey, I already ate because I know you guys don't eat traditional food like the rest of us, or humans, I should say. So I just decided to go ahead and eat so that way I didn't make it awkward. And I wanted to just, get right into meeting you guys and bonding with you guys and spending time, getting to know you guys. And Rosalie's livid, so she basically crushes the glass bowl in her hands. And Edward tries to pacify Rosalie's hostility, and he says, I just ignore her, don't mind her. And Rosalie makes a good point here, and she's like, it's very dangerous for Bella to know about our true nature. It leaves us exposed, and it leaves us to have issues later on down the road. And she's absolutely right, which comes true later on in the movie. So Bella says, I'll never tell anyone anything. Your secret's safe with me. And then Emmett is like, Bella and Edward basically have gone public, so there's really no going back. We're just going to have to keep moving forward, basically. So then Rosalie says the entire family will be implicated if things go left. And I said, again, she's right. One thing about Emmett and Rosalie, they're both truth tellers. I feel like they deliver it differently, but they both have very valid points, especially Emmett. They're both straight shooters. They say it straight, no chaser. What you see is what you get with them. And I totally respect that. I have a deep respect for people who do that, because at least you know where you stand with them, So then Alice and Jasper join the conversation immediately afterwards. They leap off of this branch thing that's going into, or a tree branch that's going into the kitchen, which I was like, why the fuck do they have this? This isn't yoga, this isn't gymnastics, but I digress. But I was like, they're vampires, so everything about them is totally abnormal. And I said, this is so fitting for Alice to make her grand entrance like this, because she's just such a whimsical character, and she kind of just does things to the beat of her own drum. So then Alice hugs Bella, and she's like, oh, you do smell good. But she has self-control or self-restraint. So Jasper doesn't engage, but it does make sense why. So Alice mentions that Bella and her will become great friends in the future. I said, to which I'm happy Bella gets along with at least one of her sisters-in-law. So then Carlisle explains that Jasper is their newest vegetarian in the family, and he says it's a pleasure to meet her, but he literally looks like he's in pain, like he has to blow a mean fart or take a mad mud monkey, as Mr. Mackey from fucking South Park would say. So Alice reassures him that, he won't hurt, Bella, his future sister-in-law. So Carlisle is like, I think that went well. And Esme tells Rosalie to clean up her mess. And I said, I know that's motherfucking right, because you're not going to shatter all these shards of glass and think that I'm finna walk on this. So then Edward continues to show Bella around their house. They walk upstairs. And I said, one thing about white parents is they gonna let their kids go up in the bedroom and not expect some shit to go down. I was like, black mamas do not play that shit. Black dads do not play that shit. Sidebar, I remember when me and Nick first started dating, I think it was when I was still living at home, but I was getting ready to move out, or no. Yeah, it was when I was getting ready to move out. It was a little bit before, and he came over. And he had asked my mom, he was like, how come I can't see Amber's room? And my mom literally laughed like a serial killer for 5 minutes straight. She's like, ha ha ha. I was like, oh my God, she about to kill this man. I was like, you don't ask no black mom that question. I was like, are you trying to get your head knocked between the washer and dryer? What's wrong with you? And she was like, you have 5 minutes. And she literally timed him. He booked it so fast. I don't think I ever seen this man run so fast in his life. So he books it upstairs, and she let me go up there. But my brother was up there, the door was open. But I was like, black moms do not play that. You need to be under all supervision, eagle eye, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Big brother is watching. I don't know. But it was so funny. I was like, he is so psyched to see my room. Meanwhile, when I went to his parents' house, they were like, do what you're going to do. I don't want to say not encouraging, but they were very free and fluid. They didn't really care. I didn't have to ask permission. I remember the first time that I went into Nick's room. So their house is the two-way staircase. There's one way that goes to the side, and then the main way that leads to the front door. They kind of have one of those staircases, but his dad would always watch TV in the living room. So he had to cut through the living room, and then there was a side staircase leading directly up to Nick's room. And he was like, come on. And I was like, do I need to ask? And he was like, no. And I walked past him, and I was expecting his dad to say, hold on, young lady, halt. And I was like, he didn't say anything. He just let me go up there. And then after a while, I didn't care. But I was still sometimes even like a little bit down the road, like a few months or so, like I would still get nervous, like just to walk past her. I felt like I was like doing the walk of shame, even though I wasn't doing nothing too crazy. But I was just like, okay, bitch, like they didn't care. They never said anything to me. And I was like, are you sure? He was like, it doesn't matter. Like we could have the door closed. We could be in there for hours. Like they did not care. And I was just like, y'all are built different. Cause I was like, I don't know how I will feel about my daughter doing that, but I digress. Again, not that anything wild was going on, but still. And then him and his brother had a Jack and Jill bedroom or bathroom. Yeah. You know, like the bathrooms that connect between bedrooms. That's kind of how their room was. So had to be mindful of that. So anyway, they're walking up the steps and she sees a wall full of graduation caps. And Edward says, you know, this is a private joke because we matriculate or graduate a lot. And Bella is like, you know, it's kind of miserable starting high school over and over again. I said, bitch, I agree. I said, it's almost like Groundhog Day. And I said, I guess it's kind of like hell. They're never aging and they never die. You're just stuck. Like you're just in a loop. And I was like, I don't think I would want to be a vampire. If anything, I've always wanted to be a werewolf, but that's just me, baby. So I said, maybe the graduation caps symbolize hell and shows the downside to immortality. They're basically nomads too. They never find one set home, but I think Forks later on does become like their main base or like their main base or their home base, I should say. So then he shows Bella his bedroom and Bella has me weak because she's so observant and she's so smart. She's like, what, no bed? And he's like, you know, I don't sleep. And I'm like, oh yeah, true. And I put a note in here that says, this is interesting to me because the vampires in True Blood do sleep, but they do it underground in coffins or like the equivalent of like an underground bunker, which if I remember correctly, but I'm pretty sure they slept underground and it wasn't a coffin. And we see Bella eye his music selection. He's got a very vast like catalog that he's got. So he's listening to, oh my God, I don't know how to say this word. Is it Debussy? I don't know how to fucking say it. Debussy. Y'all know that song, Claire de Lune. And Bella's like, oh my gosh, this is great. And so Edward approaches her to slow dance. And I said, I love how slow their intimacy is being built. He spins her around and Bella has me weak again because she's like, you know, baby, I can't dance. That's not my strong suit. So Edward is like, you know, I could always make you. And she's like, baby, I'm not scared of you. And she really isn't. She's like the only person I feel like that would be able to say that to him and mean that shit. So he's like, you know, you really shouldn't have said that. And then he takes her on his back and then they jump out the fucking window into a tree. I said, bitch, imagine wearing a wig and then fly off because your boyfriend acting like he a stunt double. Baby, it's giving American Ninja Warrior. Like, stop it, friend. So he tells her to hold on, Spider Monkey. And I thought that was cute. So Edward is like, you know, do you trust me? And she says, in theory. And I was like, again, she's funny. She has like that subtle, like dry humor. And so he tells her to close her eyes and he begins crawling and leaping up like different trees, like showing how like agile he really is. So then they look over the tops of trees and we see how gorgeous like their landscape, their surroundings really are. These are some gorgeous shots in my opinion. There's like a huge body of water. There's like mountaintops, like the tops of trees kind of in between. The trees are like these gorgeous, like monumental structures in my opinion. So I said, I think nature is their home where they feel the most comfortable with each other. Or maybe in nature, you know, you're so barren, you're so vulnerable, which is, I think, again, how they are with each other. I said the cinematography is gorgeous here. They kind of do these like breathtaking panoramic views. They kind of like circle around the two of them. And I said, again, do you see why I wanted to be in the middle of the woods with the man of my dreams? And I put haha in all caps because baby, yes. Now as an adult, I wouldn't do that shit because I'm not trying to get eaten by a wolf or nothing. So next, we see Edward playing the piano and Bella is watching him lovingly. It's almost like, what can't this man do? He's so good at everything, but I think love is the one thing that he hasn't mastered. Ooh, I didn't even have that in my notes. I just thought about that. So then we see clouds rolling in, suggesting a storm brewing. And then it then pans to James watching Victoria run away in the woods, who's being pursued by Charlie, his fellow officers, and a group of canines. So he finds a footprint, which is Victoria's. But I was like, you know, would she be in their database? Like, you know, that county or that area's database, because she's not from there. So how would they be able to track her? And I'm like, are vampires traceable like that? Like they are with humans? Like, what if a vampire does commit a crime? Or are they just able to get out because they do have like the superhuman senses? I don't know. I just randomly put that in my notes. I don't even know if that fucking makes sense. So then next, we see Bella pull up to school. I don't think the Cullens are there. It's like a shiny or like bright day. Like there's a lot of sunlight. So I don't think obviously they're going to be there because then their cover will be blown. So Mike approaches her. Mike is so fucking raggedy. He's like, you know, what's up with you and Cullen? And he's like, you know, I don't like it because Edward looks at you like you're something to eat. And I said, but he's kind of low-key, right? A little bit, even though Mike is a hater. So I said, one wrong move and he could eat her. So Bella brushes him off. She pays it dust. She pays it no mind. So later Bella joins her dad at the diner that they like to eat at. When she, you know, the one that she ate her little veggie burger or garden burger at when she first moved back to Forks with him. So when Bella walks in, oh no, I'm sorry, I put the wrong note. Okay, never mind. I have a note for this later. Just scrap that. I'm sorry. So, okay, never mind. Let me skip this part. I'm sorry. I should have taken this part out of my notes. Hold on one second. So Charlie says he ordered her the spinach salad and that he hopes that's okay. And then the waitress brings over the food, which I said, this joint looked fire. So Charlie got fries and a steak. And I said, that joint looked glorious. Sidebar, you know, a lot of actors don't eat like fully their food. Or if they do, they just eat bits and pieces and they have like the bucket. I forget what it's called, like the spit bucket or whatever, where they like spit the food out to do several takes. I said, nah, me, baby, my fat ass would be eating it. I think I read something that said that Chris Pratt, like when he wasn't as much of a sex symbol as he was, like when in his like Parks and Rec days, that he used to eat the whole meal. And I said, baby, that would be me because I'm a fat ass bitch. Like I need that. I remember one time my mom was running for office and she wanted me and my brother to help her because she wanted to film like a commercial like as a family. And I remember they filmed us like making spaghetti. It was so awkward. Imagine someone like zeroing in like this in your face and you're like, you have to do the same thing over and over and over. I was like, baby, I could not be an actor because I would be so stressed out having to do the same thing over and over and over again. Like, please shoot me, bitch. I mean, not really, but I was like, okay. So then they like filmed us eating spaghetti and he's like all up and I was like, baby, I can't get the fuck out of my face. I want to eat this. And I remember I had left my plate on the table, or no, I'm sorry. I forget who it was. I think the photographer was like, can we take a family shot outside? He was going to do group shots and then he was going to do like individual ones. And I had left my spaghetti on the table and I was like, yeah, I'm finna come back and eat this because do you know they do that shit in the trash? I was so hurt. I was like, fire your staff off with their heads, bitch. But anyway, yeah, it's very weird being filmed like that. I was like, I don't enjoy this. Like, I don't know. It's so unnatural just to have like cameras in your face. And then like in between takes, they would fix our makeup. And then like her team was like hyping us up, getting us ready for the shoot. It was so awkward. And I just felt so, I don't know. The makeup artist was really nice. She was a really sweet lady. I don't remember her name, but I kind of came over with my makeup already done and she just touched up whatever I had. And I don't really wear a lot of makeup anyway, but it was so unnatural. I was like, oh my God. Then he like filmed us walking the dog. Me and my brother had to do that like over and over and over again. I said, baby, don't ask me again. Ask me to look some envelopes. I'm not filming nothing else. Don't ask me. Like, I want to be behind the scenes. So yeah, the food looked really good. So Bella's like, you know, you should do the same. You should get a spinach salad as well instead of getting a steak. And I said, nah, she coming for Charlie's health. And I said, I can't lie. As much as I love red meat, vegetarian and vegan dishes sometimes hit more than dishes with meat. If it's seasoned correctly and it's a really good vegetable, you can make anything taste amazing. Like we used to do HelloFresh a lot and there was, I forgot what the exact recipe name was. They had these like fritter things. It was made out of chickpeas. Oh my God. It was like curry chickpea fritters. That thing was so fire. Think of it like a latke, which is like a potato pancake with like sour cream and other toppings on it. It was like that, but almost better. And I fucking love latkes, bitch. Anything potatoes, sign me the fuck up. But it was like you know, rinse and drain your chickpeas. Then you like mash them and then you like use cornstarch and other ingredients in like a curry seasoning. And you like form them into like little patties and then you just fry, like deep fry them. You put like, you know, like an inch or half an inch of like oil. I'm not saying the measurement right, but you know what I mean? Like you do like a thick like measurement of oil and kind of like deep fry, like if you're doing French fries or something like that. Oh my God, we tore them things up. And I think it came with like this, like, I don't know what type of side was it? Was it like a salad or was it rice? I don't remember what the side was, but the little fritters, they were so good. I actually turned around and made them again because I was like, baby, this is one of my favorite ones. HelloFresh has really good like Middle Eastern inspired dishes, like the ones with like the tzatziki sauce, like chickpeas, like that harissa spiced chicken. Oh my God. If you haven't tried it, I would say give it a chance if you like it. And no, nobody's paying me for this. I'm just telling you that we tried it and we loved it. When I worked, when I was still working full time, we relied on that religiously, but then we kind of stopped because school started picking up. And when I would come home, I would just book it straight for the computer because I knew I had so much stuff to do. I'm telling you, I was so dedicated and still dedicated. So anyway, the waitress asked if Charlie has found any new evidence regarding Waylon's murder. And Charlie's like, we found a bare human footprint, which is actually Victoria. So it's technically someone who's not even alive. So he says, whoever it belongs to is headed east. So another county will take it over from here. And I said, I'm surprised by this because Charlie has such a personal tie to the case that I didn't expect him to give up so easily. And I was like, I feel like he could have used his clout or his weight. He's been there so long, like he has good standing in the police department or law enforcement. I was like, I'm kind of surprised by this, but I guess, he has to follow protocol or like the jurisdiction that's set. So the waitress says, okay. And then she hopes they catch him fast. So then I'm dying. We see Mike shaking his ass outside the window, and Charlie's like, it looks like your friends are flagging for you. And Charlie's like, it's okay if you want to ditch me and hang out with them. And I was like, said no parent ever. But Charlie's perfectly fine in his own skin. He's perfectly fine being alone. So he's like, I'm going to turn in early anyway, so I won't be, of much use or much company to you. And she's like, me too. And I said, not only is she an introvert, but a homebody. And I said, baby, I felt that on a spiritual level. So Charlie tells her it's Friday night and that she should go out. Hey, y'all remember that song? It's Friday night. You remember that song by Rebecca Black? Me and Nick would just be walking around the house just randomly singing that, like every time on Friday without fail. Everybody shit on Rebecca Black, but I thought that song was hard. I mean, obviously Katy Perry's version, was better, but I mean, that song wouldn't exist if Rebecca Black didn't release her song. I wonder how she doing. Shout out to you, sis. So then, I'm sorry, I know that was so random. So then Charlie mentions how much Mike is feeling Bella or sniffing after her. And she's like, we're just nothing more than good friends. And then Charlie's like, is there anyone that you're interested in town? And Bella's like, she looked like she'd rather talk about paint drying than tell her dad about somebody that she liked or got a crush on. And I was weak because I said, baby, same. So Charlie expresses being guilty about or feeling guilty about leaving her alone too much and that she should be around people. And Bella's like, I don't mind being alone. And she's like, I guess I'm like my dad in that way. And truer words could not have been said. I said, she is nothing like her mother, at least not in this movie. There's probably traits that she has of her mom, but I see more Charlie than Renee than anything. So Bella calls her mom, who's watching field practice at the range, and she says, we're looking for a house to rent in case things become more permanent. And her mom is like, you'd really like it in Jacksonville. And Bella's like, I really like Forks. And her mom is surprised and was like, girl, what? And Bella repeats herself and says Forks is really growing on her. So then Renee is like, could a guy have something to do with this? And Bella's like, yes, bitch. So the way she said it was just like so cute and like endearing and awkward. And she starts to lose her breath. And I said, baby, she almost salivated a little bit thinking about homeboy, didn't she? So then her mom is like, baby, tell me the tea, spill it all. And Bella's like, baby, I gotta go. Because then all of a sudden Edward shows up unannounced. Like he just appeared in her bedroom. I said, baby, you got to ask, you got to knock or something. You can't just be showing up unannounced. If Bella was black, she would have swung on this man. I'm sorry, like she would have, because I would have. Don't be walking up on black folk unannounced, because that's quick to get an elbow. You quick to get a 1-2. You know what I'm saying? So Bella is like, how did you get in here? And he says the window. I said, this ninja done lost his damn mind. So again, he's stalking her and she's okay with it. And I said, if she wasn't into him and he wasn't attractive, sis would have been filed a restraining order. But because he's fine and immortal, he get a free pass. So then he mentions coming into her room uninvited the past few months because he enjoys watching her sleep. Remember when she would dream about him or thought she was dreaming about him? He was actually in her bedroom. I said, baby, no. That would scare the living shit out of me. Then he tells her not to move because he wants to try something. I said the kissing scenes were awkward, but I know if they got too into it, he could literally snap her neck in half. So, Edward leans in to kiss her, but it's so slow. It's just like that tension building. Like, it's just like you could feel that electricity just like charging the air. So this kiss has such heat or razzle dazzle to it compared to the other kisses or intimacy that they share with each other. I said, I hate that she had to restrain herself because he couldn't control his killer instincts, because Bella was getting into it. And, low-key, she was in like her t-shirt and drawers. And I'm like, well, what is she supposed to be at home? At home. And I don't know if Charlie was there. I was like, was Charlie here in this scene? I don't know. I was like, he didn't hear all that creaking and groaning and creaking. And I was like, So, they wasn't doing the do, but it was some action going on in there. So Bella has to like pull away, and Edward like yeets himself to the fucking wall. I was weak. So I said, again, Bella sacrificed so much to be with him, especially her physical safety. Like, she literally was in danger every time she crossed paths with this man. So then he pulls her away and tells her to stop and is thrown back against the wall. And I said, what's interesting is right before they start making out, her mom asks her, is she being safe? So I said, this is nice foreshadowing on the director's part, or a nice segue, I should say, because even her dad was asking her, like, is there anyone you fancy? And then the person she fancies showed up. So then Bella immediately apologizes, and he says he's stronger than he thought. And she says she wishes, she could say the same. So Edward is like, I can never lose control with you because it'll cost you. It'll be the difference between life and death. And I was like, I don't want to be with somebody like that. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. So she begs him not to go. Excuse me. Ooh, hold on one second. I don't know why I'm sneezing all of a sudden. Excuse me, y'all. Hold on one second. Woo. Like when your nose tickle. I felt it coming on, but I was like, baby, can you hurry up? So she begs him not to go. And I said, I love this shot, actually. He's brooding with his back towards her. And then he turns around and the camera is kind of tilted at an angle. And I said, the lighting is perfect here. Here, he's not lurking in the dark or the shadows. She sees him exactly for what he is and still chooses to love him, to be with him. And I said, this is unconditional love, illustrated in the purest form. And it does a montage of them staying up all night talking until Bella eventually succumbs to sleep. So I said, again, her dad didn't hear him in the house, and I got 3 question marks. So I said, because the way Black parents are not set up, LOL in all caps. So hold on one second. So I said, I guess Charlie works long and odd hours, so this arrangement kind of works for them. I said, again, we were not allowed to have boyfriends or girlfriends over. We had to meet like in a public place. Like we weren't really allowed to go over to people's houses and stuff like that. And if we did, we kind of snuck over. So one time I negotiated with my brother to leave the house so I could sneak one of my boyfriends over. I think I was in like 11th grade. I don't know if you guys remember. Oh no, never mind. I didn't post that. I had filmed the video and I was going to upload it, but I had a friend whose brother that I did it. It was her stepbrother, actually. And so I snuck him over, and I said I was so terrified to get my ass beat because my mom wasn't home. She used to come home early, but I think she started like taking college classes, like at the community college or something. So she would come home later, like 6 or 7. So I kicked his ass out early because I was like, I'm not trying to catch a fade fucking around with you. It felt weird to like sneak him over. We were just like cuddling in my bed, like nothing too crazy happened. Even then, I'm like, that could have so went left. So I said, I wonder what he's up to now. Shout out to him. I hope he's doing well. So the camera tilts again when Bella's asleep, and it shows her sinking into him. And you can tell that Edward is uncomfortable because he doesn't know what to do. And I said, this is a learning curve for him too, not just her. Bella has her human instincts, but what does someone who's been dead for a century have? Nothing. It's like training wheels, really. So I said, this reminds me of Neytiri from Avatar when she's scolding Jake Sully during their first like encounter when they meet in the woods. And she saves him from those like panther-like creatures that are about to tear his ass up. And she said, you're like a baby. You don't know what to do. Like, she was so agitated because like, now I got to teach you. Now I'm stuck with you. Now I have to show you the ropes. And I said, in both cases, the women have to teach them, their partners, how to love them. And I was like, very good connection there. So in the next scene, Charlie is seen cleaning his gun, which has me weak. And Bella brings him another beer. I said, low-key, I feel like she's buttering him up because the next thing out her mouth is, oh, I have a date with Edward Cullen. And I said, what's interesting to me is her dad didn't know about them dating until now. They live in such a small town that I'm surprised rumors or, what was actually happening spread throughout the town like wildfire. So Charlie says, he's a little old for you, isn't he? And Bella says, no, he's a junior. I'm a junior. We're the same age. Little does he know, he about 100 years older than his actual daughter or his kid. So Bella's like, I thought you liked the Cullens. And he's like, I thought you didn't like any of the boys in town. I'm like, touche. You just told him the other day that you didn't. And now here you are talking about you went on a date, even though you're in a whole relationship with this man. So Bella says Edward doesn't live in town. And I said, technically she's right because he's kind of on the outskirts. So I said, remind Charlie to get some silver bullets or some garlic, bitch. Charlie tells him, all right, bring him in. Because Bella's like, he's outside. He's like dying to meet you. I was like, oh, this is about to go left. He about to shoot him. But then when this man don't have no bullet wounds, then what's going to happen? I said, now you got a bigger problem on your hands. So Bella asked Charlie to be nice and that Edward's important. And I said, notice that the gun didn't leave the table. I said, I think that this definitely symbolizes protection, especially how deep it runs with the father as it pertains to his daughter, especially when she starts dating and being romantically involved with other men or guys. So Edward comes in and formally introduces himself, and Edward is like, she's not going to be out late. We're going to go out to play baseball. And Charlie has me weak because he's like, my kid, you sure you're talking about the right girl? You sure you're talking about the right Bella? And before Bella leaves the house, Charlie asks Bella, does she still have that pepper spray? And I said, bitch, will this work on vampires? Yes or no? Asking for a friend. Stephanie Meyer, let me know, sis. So Bella asks, since when do vampires play baseball? And Edward is like, it's an American pastime. There's a thunderstorm coming, which is the only time that we play it. So as they're talking, he's putting a baseball cap on her head. And there's this gorgeous shot of a waterfall in the background. And I said, this just reiterated how much I loved how the director captured the beauty of their filming locations. And I actually looked it up online, and it said that this film was shot in Portland, Oregon. I believed it. I thought I was in Washington. I said, I believe it. But you know what? I think I do vaguely remember them saying it was shot in Oregon. I was like, what a beautiful place. So Emmett pulls up in his Jeep, and Bella and Edward walk up to join the rest of the Cullen clan in the center of the field. Rosalie and Emmett are holding a bat and putting their fists kind of like on top of each other, doing that on the handle in kind of like this teasing, like flirty manner. And then Esme remarks to Bella how she's so glad she could join them and that she can be the umpire. I put umpire, bitch. So considering she's athletically challenged, I said that's the best position for her to play. Me, I'm just watching and talking shit. I don't even want to participate. I just want to watch. And I said, I can't say nothing because I'm the same way, athletically challenged, that is. Don't ask me to play no sports because I'm going to look at you like you have two heads. So Jasper is in the background practicing his swings, and Esme encouraged Bella to call the plays as she sees them because Emmett likes to cheat. And Emmett didn't hold back. He was like, yeah, I do cheat. And what? I was like, I'm fucking weak. Hold on one second. I'm gonna just take a sip of water. I got my cranberry lime Waterloo. Is it Waterloo? No, it's Polar. I'm sorry. We bought Waterloos tonight. Hold on one second. Polar and Waterloo are both like seltzer sparkling water brands. Anyway, what the hell is the difference between seltzer and sparkling water? I think they're the same thing, but I know they're different, probably the way that they're made. But I'm like, they literally taste the same to me, but maybe that's just me. So the baseball scenes are shot really well, in my opinion, especially the gloomy blue-gray backdrop. It's very like gloom and doom type. It very much captures the essence of the book and the essence of like the vibe and, the foreshadowing, the danger. I said also the way that they colored and edited the shots was actually really great, in my opinion. So Alice says it's time, and she throws the first pitch, and the slow motion of this shot and the way she points her foot or leg, it's so graceful. She's like a dancer. Like the pointed foot that you do in ballet, like pointed toe. It kind of looked like that, or reminded me of like, like the ballerina on like the little like statues that you get. It kind of looks something like that. So then Rosalie is first to bat, and Edward goes to catch what she just hit. And Bella makes a comment to Esme, and she's like, that's got to be a home run. And she shakes her head no. And she's like, Edward's very fast. So just as Rosalie is about to slide into home base, Edward throws it to Esme and catches it. And Bella tells her she's out as she slides into third base. And Rosalie looks so fucking pissed. She can't handle it, and she gives her the stink eye like, bitch, you do that again, I'm coming for your neck. I said, we might not have to worry about James, Laurent, and Victoria if Rosalie tear her ass up first. But Edward would never forgive her. He'd literally rip her head from her fucking neck, or wring her neck. So Carlisle is up next, and he knocks it out of the park. So Emmett and Edward both jump to catch it and crash into each other as thunder claps in the back. And I thought, again, this was like great symbolism or foreshadowing, but also just the way it was shot and how it like blended well together. I mean, they're both so strong. Emmett's much bigger than him. He's much beefier and muscular, but Edward has some grit to him. So Jasper is up next, and Emmett jumps on this huge ass tree and catches, the ball. And Rosalie remarks that he's her monkey man, and I thought that was pretty cute. I feel like that's something I would say to Nick. So as Rosalie is rounding the bases, Alice receives a vision of James, Laurent, and Victoria kind of approaching them. So panic colors her face, and she tells them to stop. And then Edward freezes like a deer in headlights and tries to grab Bella to get away, but evidently they run out of time, so we think. So Edward tells her to put her hair down, and Rosalie says that she's like, that's not going to help because you can literally smell her across the field. And I was like, facts though. And like her heartbeat, her pulse, things like that. So I said, now this didn't make sense to me because Edward couldn't have put her on his back and made a break for it. But I guess if he ran, that would just make them look more guilty or more like they had something to hide. So I said, isn't he incredibly fast and agile? Like this would have been the perfect time for him to use those gifts. Like, again, he's gone like that in the blink of an eye. He's like Usain Bolt in this bitch. So I said, again, they could have hidden or gotten on the highway at the very least. I said his family definitely could have stalled James, Laurent, and Victoria, but maybe, you know, they had to build it up for the story. So James, Laurent, and Victoria appear, and Edward apologizes to Bella for bringing her to the field. Laurent has the baseball in his hand, and he says, I believe this belongs to you, and he throws it to Carlisle, who catches it without batting an eye. Carlisle, you know, says thank you, and Laurent introduces himself as well as Victoria and James. So we see close-ups of James's eyes, Jasper's eyes, and Emmett's eyes, and there's kind of like this tennis match of like tension going back and forth, like batting between them three. So, you know, they all seem to be on edge. They all seem to be on the defense. And I said, it seems like they're ready for the smoke if need be. So Carlisle says, I'm afraid your hunting activities have caused something of a mess for us. And Laurent responds, our apologies. We didn't realize that the territory has been claimed. And Carlisle says, yes, we maintain a permanent residence nearby. And then a close-up of Laurent's red eyes is shown, suggesting his thirst for blood or conflict or both. So Laurent says, really now? And we see a close-up of James squinting his eyes, and he's kind of looking in the direction of Edward and Bella, because I think he's curious about Bella, like, how come she doesn't look like you guys? Bella does have pale skin, but it's not like theirs. It's not as alabaster or like ivory, I would say, or marble even. So Edward, you know, he's tense, he's on edge. So I said, I'm wondering if Edward is supposed to be reading James's mind here. And Laurent says, you know, we're just passing through. And again, a close-up of his eyes is shown. And Victoria says, you know, the humans were tracking us, but we led them east, basically threw them off our scent, our trail. And, you know, she says, you should be safe. And I said, it's in that moment, I know that some shit is about to pop off. Even if I hadn't watched this already and I didn't know, like, you could just tell just the way she said it, her body language, and how she was so cocky about it. So I said they're dangerous because they aren't as disciplined as the Cullens, and they're reckless when they do feast or when they do feed. So Carlisle says, excellent. And Laurent asks, you know, can you guys use 3 more players? And the Cullens are not trying to make friends. They're trying to get the fuck out of Dodge so they don't eat their future daughter-in-law. So Carlisle indulges and says, sure, why not? So he says, you know, a few of us are leaving. Go ahead and take their place. I said, so you mean to tell me they didn't sense Bella's heartbeat or the blood pulsing through her veins, bitch? I said, a little bit of a plot hole here, but again, I know they had to build it for the story to build, you know, that final act up. So Carlisle throws the ball back to Laurent, but Victoria catches it and says she's the one with the wicked curveball. Emmett smirks because he's up for the challenge, and Jasper says, oh, well, I think we can handle that. And I said, wait, why didn't Jasper use his powers to ease the situation or to diffuse it? So James is still staring at Bella and Edward like he ready for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, baby. So Edward is staring at him like he wants to rip his head off, and Bella is staring at Edward like, abort mission. So James starts to walk away, turns around, you know, he's about to mind his business and let it go and let bygones be bygones. Of course, the goddamn wind blows and it reveals Bella's scent. It kind of brushes her hair off, you know, her shoulders, and then he picks up on her, you know, and how delicious she smells. So James turns back around. He says, you brought a snack. I said, I know you fucking lying. His eyes are black as midnight. So he almost looks possessed here. So then Edward pushes Bella back and takes a protective stance, and the rest of the Cullens join him, trying to keep Bella out of harm's way. So Carlisle informs James that the girl's with them and that he thinks it's best if they leave. So then Laurent says he can see that the game is over and they'll go now. And he coaxes James to leave, and Victoria follows suit, but you know the game is just beginning. So Carlisle encourages Edward to get Bella the fuck out of Dodge. He shoves her into the car. He's manhandling her. He's so aggressive. He's like, you know, I think it's more so he doesn't want to stand the chance of losing her. Like, he knows it's this close. So I think he regrets bringing her there because she was exposed to bigger predators than him and his family, or even ones that he could imagine. So he's strapping her into the seat, and she's like, you know, I got it, like, let it go get in the driver's seat. So he does, and Bella's like, you know, so are they going to come after me? And I said, I don't think the thought of her coming into contact with another vampire or other vampires crossed her mind or Edward's. So Edward tells her that James is a tracker and that the hunt is his obsession. So I said, could the deer from the beginning of the movie, like the opening sequence, be Bella and the predator actually be James? I said, ooh, that's a good thought there. So Edward says that his reaction in the field set him off, and that Edward basically upped the ante and make the game, you know, the most exciting one, or the most exciting chase or thrilling chase that James has ever been in, or in a while at least. So Edward tells her that he's never going to stop. And Bella's like, you know, what should we do? And Edward is like, we're going to have to kill him. We're going to have to rip him apart and we're going to have to burn him to pieces. So Bella is like, you know, where are we going? And he's like, away from Forks. And I said, again, this man's driving is out of control, but I guess it reflects his mental state. He's like erratic. He's reckless. He's not thinking clearly because all he's trying to do is save his future wife, and he can't even do that right, or he feels like he can't do that right. So he's willing to do anything to keep Bella alive. I said, including drive like a bat out of hell to keep her out of harm's way. But I'm like, you gonna get in an accident, and that's gonna be another harm that she hasn't foreseen. So Edward suggests that they take a ferry to Vancouver, and Bella says she has to go home right now. And she's like, you know, take me home. And he's like, no, we can't, because he's going to track you there. And then, you know, that's the first place that he's going to look. And Bella's like, you know, my dad is there. And he's like, it doesn't matter. And she's like, bitch, yes, it does. Like, he's my dad. He's like all I have besides my mom. Like, she doesn't have any siblings. She doesn't have any cousins, aunts, or uncles that we know about or that are in proximity. So, like, yeah, that is her lifeline there. So I said, here we see their first real fight as a couple. Bella says, yes, it does. He could get killed because of us. And I was like, again, she's thinking logically. She's thinking from a human or emotional standpoint. And Edward's just like, no, I have to only protect you. Like, you're my only priority. But I was like, her losing her dad would be so heavy for her. I think that grief would kill her if she did lose her dad because of her actions or inactions. So Edward is like, you know, just let me get you out of here first. And Bella's like, you know, what about my dad? We have to go back. So she's stubborn. She's not letting off his neck. She says, you know, we'll figure out a way to lead the tracker away somehow, but we have to go back. And we see James running in the woods trying to beat Bella home. And so her and Edward get to her house and pretend to have a fight and do it in the foyer right next to where her dad is fast asleep on the couch. With them arguing and kikiing and yelling wakes him up. And Charlie, you know, so she tells Edward, you know, it's over, get out. Like, she's acting like she's mad and she's really not. It's just to throw Charlie off their trail. So Charlie chases her up the stairs. He's like, you know, what the hell is going on? And I said, Charlie is the real MVP because he really loved his daughter and will kill anybody for harming a hair on her head, including the person that's not living. So she says she has to get out of here and she's leaving. She slams the door in Charlie's face, and Edward is in her bedroom helping her pack. So Charlie is knocking on the door, wanting to work things out, just wanting her to talk, you know, through it. She asks Edward, you know, what do I say to him? And you can see how conflicted she is about leaving her dad behind, but by leaving him behind, it ensures that he gets to stay alive. So I was like, I guess she did what she had to do in that moment. But I said, here we see how big her heart is because she's willing to go to such extreme lengths to protect him. And I said, but also, if she weren't with a vampire, she wouldn't have to do all this shit. I said, if she was with a werewolf, James would have already been eaten, LOL, because facts. You know, that kind of gets covered a little bit in the second movie, which I'm so excited to review. I only have 30 more minutes left, or like 35 more minutes left of the next video, and then I get to start on New Moon, which I'm so excited about. But I felt so bad for Bella on New Moon because that sis was going through it. But I love this because it sets the tone for like the last, you know, that final act, and it kind of shows that her and Edward can basically go through anything and they can still make it, which is so interesting because he is immortal and she is not, but also because her life was very safe and like sheltered. She was like in a bubble before, but now it's the complete opposite. Ever since she's gotten with him, the stakes have been heightened. It's like their love is tested constantly. That's something that I think I could say. And it's like they have to jump through these hoops to prove that they can coexist or can be together and can love each other through any and everything, through eternity, really. So I don't know, this part was really interesting. Again, I love the baseball scene. I actually love the house that they were in too, but I'm excited to cover the last part for you guys. I hope you guys have been enjoying these. Feel free to run it up in the comments. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.